Onua mekyea wo megidi se ohoye erade adom enso me hoye pa. So you're welcome back to another lesson here on LEARNAKAN.com, and in today's lesson we are learning to ask for someone's name and also tell our name, as well as ask someone for somebody else's name and also tell somebody else's name to somebody. All right, and there are different ways of doing this, but we are going to focus on the 4 most common ways. So if you know these, then it should be good. All right, so if you meet up with someone and you want to ask the person for his or her name, you can ask within the same. Within the same. So this is the first way. So you can ask within the same. Within the same, what is your name? All right, now let's break this down. We have wo, which is your, all right, the possessive adjective, your. And then we have din, and din comes from a din, which is a name. So when you say within, you are saying your name. And then we have de, which translates here as is. Okay, is. This is a to be verb form in she, and we use this to talk about names. So as a to be verb form, depending on where you find this, it can change from is to am to are and all that. Okay, so for example, if I want to say I am Yaw, okay, I am Yaw, as in I am called Yaw, I will say mede Yaw. Mede Yaw. So the de here translates to English as am, right? Mede Yaw. If I want to say you are Kwabna, okay, you are Kwabna, the are in the middle, I will say wode Kwabna. Wode Kwabna. Okay, so we have this de as our to be verb form, and here it is, right? And finally we have the question word saying, which is what. So within the saying, your name is what. What is your name? Okay, so next time that you meet up with someone and you want to find out the person's name, you can ask within the saying, what is your name? Now take note of this part, because you are going to come back and change this when we are asking for somebody else's name. For now, I'm asking you directly for your name, so we use within, right, your name. But later, when I ask you about somebody else's name, you are going to change that part. Now, to respond directly to this question, you can say midin de kwabna kwache, for example. Okay, midin de kwabna kwache. Kwabna kwache here being your name. So if you are called Efia Boatma, you can respond with midin de Efia Boatma. Okay. If you are called Abena Bunsu, for example, you can respond with Midin de Abena Bunsu. So because you are responding for yourself, you no more use the wo, you use me, right? So the me here is my. You are using this my possessive adjective to possess the din, which is name, right? So Medin, my name. Within your name. So we have Medin, my name. De is Efia Boatma. And since you are no more asking a question, please do not repeat the question word saying. Okay, so it is in its place that you put your name. Let's move on to the second way of asking for someone's name, and that is Yefrel saying. Yefrel saying. Yefrel saying. So the ye in front is the subject pronoun we. So literally this means we, but we also use this to mean they. So we have ye, we or they, and then we have the verb fre, to call. So ye fre, we call, wo, you, saying what. Okay, they call you what, or we call you what. What do we call you? And as a direct response to this, if you are called, for example, Kweku Frimpong, you can respond to this with Yefremi Kweku Frimpong. Okay? If you are Yabunsu, you can respond with Yefremi Yabunsu. If you are called Amabuahima, you can respond to this with Yefremi Amabuahima. And again, please take note of the object pronoun wo. Okay, you. Because that is what you are going to be changing later when we are asking you for somebody else's name. For now, I'm asking you for your name. So I'm using wo. Your friend was saying, what do we call you, right? But later, when we are asking you for somebody else's name, we are going to change this object pronoun. Let's go to the third one. And that is actually same as the second one, except instead of the subject pronoun ye, which we said literally means we, but we sometimes use to mean they, instead of that, we are now using the proper they, the proper they pronoun. So we say, wafre was saying, wafre was saying, wafre was saying. So we have the wa, which is they, right? So instead of yefre was saying, now we have wafre was saying. So everything else is the same as the second one. So we have wa, they, fre, to call, wo, you, saying, what. So they call you what do they call you? So again, as a direct response to this, if you are called Kwejufusu, for example, you can respond to this with wofreme Kwejufusu. Okay, wofreme Kwejufusu. If you are called Dinah Samwa, you can respond to this with wofreme Dinah Samwa. Let's go to the fourth and final one for this lesson. So you can also ask, what they saying? What they saying? What they saying? So we have wo, which is you, and then we have the to be verb form de. So you are, so as in you are called, right? Saying what? So what they saying? You are what? As in you are called what? Okay, what are you called? Okay. Now, as a direct response to this, you can say Mede Kwame Boache. Okay, Mede Kwame Boache. So you change the wo to me because you are responding for yourself, right? So if you are called Wendy She, you can say Mede Wendy She. And again, please take note of the pronoun in the question, the wo, right? And then the pronoun in the response, the me, because these are what we are going to be changing when I'm asking you for somebody else's name, and also when you are responding to me with somebody else's name. Now, let's go back to that. So let's go back to the first one and switch things around to now ask for somebody else's name. So for the first question, when I was asking you for your name, your own name, I asked, Wudin the same? And I told you to take note of the possessive adjective wo, because that is what you are going to be switching. I'm no more asking you for your name, so we need to switch this possessive adjective wo, which is your, to his or her, right? The possessive adjective his or her. And if you took this lesson, then you know that is ne. Ne. Okay? If you haven't taken that lesson, please go back and take that lesson after you're done with this one. So instead of Wudin the same, we'll have Nedin the same. Nedin the same. His or her name is what? Or what is his or her name? It's that simple, right? So once we switch that, now I'm no more asking you for your name, I'm asking for somebody else's name. Now, instead of the possessive adjective, we can also replace this with, for example, a reference title. So I can ask, for example, Ochirechireni no din the same. Okay? Ochirechireni no din the same. What is the name of the teacher? Literally, we have the teacher's name is what? Okay? If I'm asking for the name of the musician, I'll ask Ojontuni no din the same, right? Ojontuni no din the same. So we have Ojuntuni, which is a singer, a musician. We have a lesson on the occupations on LEARNAKAN.com. Now, as a direct response to this, so if we take the first one, Nadine the same, what is his or her name? To respond to this, you can say Nadine de Kwabena Kwachi. Okay? Nadine de Kwabena Kwachi. So you are no more answering for yourself, but you are, telling me about somebody else's name. So you say Nadine, his or her name is Kwabena Kwachi. Nadine de Kwabena Kwachi. If it's the musician, you can say Ojuntuni no din de Okonfo Kwade, for example. Okay, Ojuntumi no din de okonfo kwade, right? If it's the teacher, you can respond with Ochechireni no din de yawamponsa. Okay, Ochechireni no din de yawamponsa. So now you are responding to the person with somebody else's name. Let's go to the second one. So for the second one, we had Yefre was saying. Yefre was saying, and I told you to take note of the pronoun wo, okay, the object pronoun, because that is what we are going to be switching, right? So instead of Yefre was saying, I'm no more asking you for your name. I'm asking for somebody else's name. So I need to switch this object pronoun you, wo, to him or her, because you are talking about somebody else, right? Now, if you took this lesson, then you know the object pronoun him or her is no. No. So instead of Yefre was saying, this will become Yefre no saying, right? Yefre no saying. It's that simple, okay? Now, instead of, the object pronoun, we can also replace this with, a reference title like we did with the first one. So instead of Yefre no saying, we can have Yefre mrashebedweni no saying. Okay? Yefre mrashebedweni no saying. So we have mrashebedweni, which is a parliamentarian. So as a direct response to this, instead of Yefre me Kwame Boache, okay? Yefre me Kwame Boache. Now you are telling me about somebody else's name. So I told you to take note of the object pronoun me, because we had Yefre me. They call me, right? So we need to switch this me to him or her, right? So we have Yefre no Kwame Boache. Yefre no Kwame Boache. If it's the parliamentarian, then you can respond to that with Yefre mrashebedweni no osei chei mensa bunsu. Yefre mrashebedweni no osei chei mensa bunsu. So osei chei mensa bunsu is the name here. So you can replace that with, any name at all right? And like we said, the third one is like the same as the second one, except, we just switched the subject pronoun ye, which literally we said it means we, but sometimes we use it as they. But we switch that for wo, which is the actual they. So instead of Yefre no saying, which literally means we call him or her what, we will have Wofre no saying. Wofre no saying, literally meaning they call him or her what, okay? And again, if it's the parliamentarian, instead of Yefre mrashebedweni no saying, we'll have Wofre mrashebedweni no saying. Wofre mrashebedweni no saying. And again, as a direct response to this, you can say Wofre no Kwame Poku. Wofre no Kwame Poku. So Kwame Poku here is, the person's name, right? They call him Kwame Poku. If it's the parliamentarian, then you can respond with Wofre mrashebedweni no Cecilia Dapa, for example. Okay? Wofre mrashebedweni no Cecilia Dapa. So they call the parliamentarian Cecilia Dapa. For the last one, we had what the saying. What the saying, you are what? So you are called what? And I told you to take note of the wo, because I was asking you for your name. So I asked you what the saying. You are what? You are called what? Now I'm asking you for somebody else's name. So I need to change this subject pronoun wo, you, to he or she. And if you took the lesson on, the subject pronouns, he or she is or. So instead of what the saying, we'll have or the saying. Or the saying. Again, when you are done with this lesson, if you haven't taken, the lessons on the pronouns, please go and check them out. So you have or the saying, he or she is what, or he or she is called what. Again, instead of the pronoun, we can replace this with a reference title. So I can ask you, for example, wo mame the saying, right? Wo mame the saying, your mother is what? Your mother is called what? Wo papa the saying, wo papa the same. Wo kunu the same. Wo kunu the same. Your husband is what? So your husband is called what? And again, as a direct response to this, you can say ode Kwame Efriye, for example. Ode Kwame Efriye. So he is Kwame Efriye. He is called Kwame Efriye, right? Ode Amabuahima. She is Amabuahima. Okay, she is called Amabuahima. Right? Me maame de Amabuatima. Me maame de Amabuatima. Me papa de Ejawusu. Me papa de Ejawusu. Before we end the lesson, please note that, when I was giving the responses, I was saying as a direct response to this, as a direct response to that. But please note that you can use any of the responses to answer any of the questions. So you need not respond, to the questions with the specific direct responses that we gave. You can use any of the responses when you are asked any of the questions. So if I ask you within the saying, you can respond with Yefreme Kwame Boache. Okay? Instead of Medin de Kwame Boache, you can just say Yefreme Kwame Boache. If I ask you what they're saying, you can respond with Medin de Yaw Boating. Okay? So you can use any of the responses and it wouldn't matter.